Ladies and gentlemen, let me ask you something that's going to make you think, reflect, and maybe even smile. What was your first impression of me? That moment when we first met? What did you see? What did you feel? Was it confidence, curiosity, or something else entirely? First impressions are powerful. They're like the opening scene of a movie. They set the tone for everything that follows. But here's the thing. First impressions aren't just about me or you. They're about the energy we bring, the stories we tell without saying a word, and the connection we create in those first few seconds. Let's dive into this idea because understanding first impressions can change the way you see yourself and the way you connect with others. Energy is the invisible force that shapes every interaction you have, and it's the first thing people notice about you even before you say a word. Think about it. When you walk into a room, do you feel the shift in the atmosphere? That's energy at work. It's not something you can fake or manufacture. It's a reflection of your inner state, your emotions, and your mindset. Whether you're aware of it or not, you're constantly broadcasting energy, and people are picking up on it. It's like a silent language that speaks volumes about who you are and how you're feeling in that moment. Your energy is made up of several elements: your body language, your tone of voice, your facial expressions, and even the pace of your movements. These are all cues that others subconsciously interpret to form their first impression of you. For example, if you walk into a room with your shoulders slumped, avoiding eye contact, and moving slowly, people will likely perceive you as unsure or disengaged. On the other hand, if you enter with a confident stride, a warm smile, and open body language, you'll immediately convey confidence and approachability. These subtle signals create an instant narrative about you, and that narrative sticks. But energy goes even deeper than just physical cues. It's also about the emotional state you're in. Have you ever been around someone who was outwardly smiling but felt distant or cold? That's because their true energy, their emotional energy, wasn't aligned with their outward appearance. People can sense when your energy is authentic and when it's not. If you're feeling anxious, stressed, or distracted, that energy will leak into your interactions, no matter how hard you try to hide it. Conversely, if you're feeling joyful, calm, or enthusiastic, that positive energy will naturally draw people to you. The key to mastering your energy lies in self-awareness. You have to become conscious of how you're feeling and how that's affecting the energy you're putting out. This requires tuning into your emotions and understanding what's driving them. Are you feeling nervous because you're stepping into a new situation? Are you excited because you're passionate about what you're doing? Once you identify the source of your emotions, you can start to shift your energy intentionally. For example, if you're feeling nervous, you can take a few deep breaths, focus on your strengths, and remind yourself of your purpose. This simple act can transform your energy from one of anxiety to one of calm confidence. Another important aspect of energy is its contagious nature. Have you ever noticed how being around a highly energetic and positive person can lift your mood? Or how being around someone who's negative and draining can bring you down? That's because energy is infectious. When you walk into a room with high positive energy, you have the power to uplift everyone around you. You become a catalyst for connection and engagement. On the flip side, if you bring low or negative energy, it can create a barrier between you and others, making it harder to form meaningful connections. So, how do you cultivate the kind of energy that leaves a powerful first impression? It starts with taking care of yourself physically, mentally, and emotionally. When you're well rested, nourished, and emotionally balanced, your natural energy will shine through. It's also about mindset. If you approach every interaction with curiosity, openness, and a genuine desire to connect, that intention will infuse your energy with warmth and authenticity. Finally, it's about practice. The more you become aware of your energy and how it impacts others, the more you can refine it to align with the impression you want to create. Energy is your first language, and it speaks louder than words. It's the foundation of every first impression, and it has the power to open doors, build trust, and create lasting connections. When you master your energy, you take control of the narrative people form about you, and you set the stage for deeper, more meaningful interactions. So, the next time you walk into a room, ask yourself, what kind of energy am I bringing? Because that energy will shape not only how others see you, but also how you see yourself. First impressions are often thought of as a one-way street, something you form about someone else based on their appearance, behavior, or energy. But the truth is, they're far more complex than that. When you meet someone for the first time and form an impression of them, that impression is as much a reflection of you as it is of them. It's like looking into a two-way mirror. What you see says just as much about your own experiences, biases, and expectations as it does about the person standing in front of you. This is a profound concept because it shifts the focus from judgment to self-awareness. It invites you to ask not just, what do I think of this person, but also, why do I think this way? Your first impression of someone is shaped by a multitude of factors, many of which have little to do with the other person and everything to do with you. Your past experiences, for example, play a huge role in how you interpret new encounters. If you've had positive experiences with people who share certain traits, like a warm smile, a confident demeanor, or a particular style of dress, you're likely to associate those traits with positivity when you see them in someone new. On the other hand, if you've had negative experiences tied to certain characteristics, you might instinctively react with caution or skepticism, even if the person in front of you has done nothing to warrant it. These associations are often subconscious, but they powerfully influence how you perceive others. Your current emotional state also colors your first impressions. If you're feeling happy, relaxed, and open, you're more likely to see the best in others and form positive impressions. But if you're stressed, anxious, or distracted, you might interpret the same behaviors in a completely different light. For instance, someone's quiet demeanor might strike you as thoughtful and calm when you're in a good mood, but it might come across as aloof or disinterested if you're feeling insecure or rushed. This is why two people can meet the same individual and walk away with entirely different impressions, because they're seeing that person through the lens of their own emotions and experiences. Cultural and societal influences also play a significant role in shaping first impressions. The values and norms you've been exposed to throughout your life create a framework for how you interpret behavior. For example, in some cultures, direct eye contact is seen as a sign of confidence and honesty, while in others it might be perceived as confrontational or disrespectful. These cultural lenses can lead to misunderstandings or misjudgments, especially when interacting with people from different backgrounds. Recognizing this can help you approach first impressions with more curiosity and less assumption, allowing you to see people for who they truly are rather than through the filter of your own conditioning. Another factor that influences first impressions is your own self-perception. How you see yourself often determines how you see others. If you're confident and secure in who you are, you're more likely to approach new encounters with openness and positivity. But if you're struggling with self-doubt or insecurity, you might project those feelings onto others, interpreting their actions in ways that reinforce your own fears. For example, if you're worried about being judged, you might perceive someone's neutral expression as disapproval, even if that's not the case at all. This is why working on your own self-awareness and self-esteem is so important. It not only improves how you see yourself, but also how you see others. Understanding that first impressions are a two-way mirror can be incredibly liberating. It means that when someone forms an impression of you, it's not just about you, it's also about them. It means that you don't have to take every judgment or assumption personally, because often it's not about you at all. At the same time, it challenges you to take responsibility for your own perceptions. It invites you to question your biases, examine your assumptions, and approach every new encounter with an open mind and a willingness to learn. When you do this, you not only create deeper, more authentic connections with others, but you also gain valuable insights into yourself. Presence is the cornerstone of every meaningful interaction, and it's the secret ingredient that transforms a fleeting first impression into a lasting memory. When you're fully present, you're not just physically in the room, you're mentally and emotionally engaged, tuned into the moment, and attuned to the person in front of you. This level of presence is rare, which is why it's so powerful. In a world filled with distractions where people are often half listening while scrolling through their phones or thinking about what they're going to say next, being truly present is a gift. It signals to the other person that they matter, that you value their time and their thoughts, and that you're genuinely interested in connecting with them. Presence begins with your ability to focus. It's about shutting out the noise, both external and internal, and giving your full attention to the person you're with. This means putting away your phone, silencing the mental to-do list, and letting go of any preconceived notions or judgments. When you do this, you create a space where real connection can happen. The person you're speaking with can feel that you're truly listening, not just waiting for your turn to talk. This kind of listening is active and intentional. It involves not only hearing the words being said, but also paying attention to the tone of voice, the body language, and the emotions behind the words. It's about being curious, asking thoughtful questions, and showing that you're engaged in the conversation. But presence isn't just about listening, it's also about how you show up. Your body language plays a crucial role in conveying presence. When you maintain eye contact, face the person directly, and use open, inviting gestures, you signal that you're fully engaged. On the other hand, if you're glancing around the room, crossing your arms, or fidgeting, you send the message that you're distracted or disinterested. These subtle cues can make or break a first impression. People are incredibly perceptive when it comes to reading body language, and they can sense when you're not fully there. That's why it's so important to be mindful of how you're presenting yourself, not just with your words, but with your entire being. Another aspect of presence is your emotional availability. Being present means being open and vulnerable, allowing yourself to connect on a deeper level. This requires letting go of any masks or pretenses and showing up as your authentic self. When you do this, you give the other person permission to do the same, creating a space where genuine connection can flourish. Emotional presence also involves empathy, the ability to put yourself in the other person's shoes and understand their perspective. When you approach an interaction with empathy, you're not just hearing the words, you're feeling the emotions behind them. This creates a sense of trust and rapport that goes beyond surface level small talk. Presence also has a profound impact on how you're remembered. Think about the people who have left the strongest impressions on you. Chances are they were the ones who made you feel seen, heard, and valued. They were the ones who gave you their undivided attention and made you feel like you were the most important person in the room. That's the power of presence. It's not about being the loudest or the most charismatic person in the room. It's about being the most attentive, the most genuine, and the most engaged. When you show up with this level of presence, you create a lasting impression that goes far beyond the initial encounter. Cultivating presence takes practice. It requires you to slow down, to be intentional, and to prioritize connection over distraction. It means being aware of your own thoughts and emotions and learning to manage them so they don't pull you out of the moment. It also involves developing a sense of curiosity and openness, approaching every interaction as an opportunity to learn and grow. When you make presence a priority, you not only enhance your ability to make a strong first impression, but you also enrich every interaction you have, creating deeper, more meaningful connections with the people around you. Presence is the bridge that turns a first impression into a lasting relationship, and it's a skill that can transform the way you show up in the world. First impressions are powerful, but they are not set in stone. They are not the final verdict on who you are or how others perceive you. In fact, they are just the beginning. A starting point that can be reshaped, refined, and rewritten over time. This is incredibly empowering because it means that even if your first impression didn't go as planned, you have the ability to change the narrative. Every interaction you have after that initial moment is an opportunity to show up differently, to demonstrate your true character, and to build a deeper, more accurate impression of who you are. The key lies in consistency, authenticity, and intentionality. Consistency is one of the most important factors in rewriting a first impression. When you consistently show up with the same energy, values, and behavior, people begin to see the real you. For example, if your first impression was overshadowed by nerves or awkwardness, but you consistently demonstrate confidence, kindness, and competence in subsequent interactions, people will start to associate those qualities with you. Consistency builds trust because it shows that you're reliable and genuine. It reassures others that what they see is what they get, and it gives them a clearer picture of who you are beyond that initial moment. Authenticity is another critical element. People can sense when you're being real and when you're putting on a facade. If your first impression felt forced or inauthentic, the best way to rewrite it is to let your true self shine through. This means being honest about your strengths and your flaws, sharing your passions and your vulnerabilities, and showing up as the person you truly are, not the person you think others want you to be. Authenticity is magnetic because it creates a sense of connection and relatability. When people see the real you, they're more likely to trust you, respect you, and form a positive impression of you over time. Intentionality is the third piece of the puzzle. Rewriting a first impression doesn't happen by accident. It requires deliberate effort. This means being mindful of how you show up in every interaction. From the words you choose to the energy you bring, it means actively looking for opportunities to demonstrate your values, your skills, and your character. For example, if you want to be seen as a leader, look for ways to take initiative and support others. If you want to be seen as empathetic, make an effort to listen deeply and show compassion. Intentionality also involves seeking feedback and being open to growth. Ask yourself, how can I show up better? What can I do to align my actions with the impression I want to create? When you approach every interaction with this level of intention, you take control of the narrative and steer it in the direction you want it to go. It's also important to remember that rewriting a first impression takes time. People's perceptions don't change overnight, especially if their initial impression was strong. But with patience and persistence, you can gradually shift how others see you. This requires a willingness to be patient with yourself and with others, understanding that change is a process. It also means not getting discouraged by setbacks or misunderstandings. Every interaction is a new opportunity to reinforce the impression you want to create, and over time, those small moments add up to a bigger, more accurate picture of who you are. Another aspect of rewriting first impressions is the ability to let go of the need for everyone to like you or see you in a certain way. The truth is, you can't control how others perceive you, and that's okay. What you can control is how you show up, your actions, your energy, and your intentions. When you focus on being the best version of yourself rather than trying to meet everyone's expectations, you create a foundation of self-respect and integrity that shines through in every interaction. This doesn't mean you stop caring about how others see you. It means you prioritize being true to yourself over seeking approval. Rewriting a first impression is not about erasing the past or pretending it didn't happen. It's about acknowledging that first impressions are just one piece of a much larger puzzle. They are the opening scene, not the entire story. By showing up consistently, authentically, and intentionally, you take control of the narrative and create a story that reflects who you truly are. This is the power of growth and transformation. The ability to redefine yourself, not just in the eyes of others, but in your own eyes as well. First impressions are not just moments of judgment or snap decisions. They are opportunities for growth. They are mirrors that reflect not only how others see you, but also how you see yourself. When you ask, what was your first impression of me? You're not just seeking feedback, you're opening the door to self-discovery. This question can be a powerful catalyst for personal and professional growth, but only if you approach it with curiosity, openness, and a willingness to learn. Growth begins with self-awareness, and first impressions provide a unique window into understanding how you're perceived by the world. The first step in using first impressions as a tool for growth is to reflect on the feedback you receive. When someone shares their initial impression of you, it's an opportunity to gain insight into how your energy, behavior, and communication style are being interpreted. This feedback can be incredibly valuable, even if it's not what you expected or wanted to hear. It allows you to see yourself from an outside perspective, which can reveal blind spots or areas for improvement that you might not have noticed on your own. For example, if someone tells you that you came across as reserved or distant, it might prompt you to explore ways to show more warmth and openness in your interactions. Or if someone says you seemed overly confident, it might encourage you to balance your assertiveness with humility and listening. But growth isn't just about addressing weaknesses. It's also about building on your strengths. First impressions can highlight the qualities that make you unique and memorable. Maybe someone noticed your infectious enthusiasm, your ability to make others feel at ease, or your sharp sense of humor. These are the traits that set you apart, and they're worth nurturing and amplifying. When you identify what's working, you can double down on those strengths and use them to create even more positive impressions in the future. This is about leaning into what makes you, you, and using it to connect with others in a meaningful way. Another aspect of growth is developing emotional intelligence. First impressions are deeply tied to emotions, both yours and the other person's. When you become more attuned to the emotional dynamics at play in your interactions, you can navigate them with greater skill and sensitivity. This might mean learning to manage your own emotions so they don't cloud your energy or communication. For example, if you tend to feel anxious in new situations, you can practice techniques like deep breathing or visualization to calm your nerves and project confidence. It might also mean becoming more empathetic, learning to read the emotions of others and respond in a way that makes them feel understood and valued. Emotional intelligence is a key component of creating positive first impressions and building strong relationships. Growth also involves stepping out of your comfort zone. If you want to make a stronger first impression, you might need to try new approaches or behaviors that feel unfamiliar at first. This could mean practicing better eye contact, working on your storytelling skills, or learning to express yourself more clearly and confidently. It might involve seeking out new experiences that challenge you and help you grow, such as public speaking, networking, or collaborating with people from different backgrounds. Growth requires effort and courage, but the rewards are worth it. Every time you push yourself to grow, you expand your potential and become more capable of making a lasting impact. Finally, using first impressions as a catalyst for growth means embracing a mindset of continuous improvement. Growth is not a one-time event, it's an ongoing process. Every interaction is an opportunity to learn, to refine your skills, and to become a better version of yourself. This requires a commitment to self-reflection and a willingness to adapt. It means being open to feedback, even when it's uncomfortable, and using it as fuel for your development. It also means celebrating your progress, no matter how small, and recognizing that growth is a journey, not a destination. When you view first impressions through the lens of growth, they become more than just moments of judgment. They become stepping stones on your path to becoming the best version of yourself. They challenge you to look inward, to identify areas for improvement, and to take action. They inspire you to build on your strengths, develop your emotional intelligence, and step out of your comfort zone. And they remind you that growth is a lifelong journey, one that requires curiosity, courage, and commitment. So the next time you ask, "What was your first impression of me?" don't just listen to the answer. Use it as a springboard for growth, because every impression is an opportunity, and every opportunity is a chance to become more of who you were meant to be. So as we wrap this up, I want to leave you with one final thought. First impressions are not just about how others see you. They're about how you see yourself. They're a mirror, a teacher, and a catalyst for growth. Whether your first impression was exactly what you hoped for or far from it, remember this: you have the power to shape you have the power to show up with energy, presence, and authenticity. You have the power to rewrite the story, to grow, and to become the best version of yourself. So I'll ask you one more time, what was your first impression of me? And more importantly, what do you want your first impression to be? Because here's the truth. You are the author of your story. Every interaction, every moment, every impression is a chance to create something extraordinary. So go out there, own your energy, embrace your growth, and make every first impression count. The world is waiting to see the incredible person you are and the even more incredible person you're becoming. Let's make it unforgettable. Thank you.